With the 22nd pick, the Tennessee Titans getting Caleb Farley. I love this pick. I think this is a great selection. Listen, yes, the guy has some. Sorry, I'm shouting. I need to calm down a bit. But listen, yes, while the guy does have some injury history, there is some injury concerns. Guess what? You have to take risk to win a Super Bowl. He is the best corner when healthy in this draft. His great speed, the way he can cut, he has great footwork on top of this. Yes, we'll get into some negatives as well. There are some negatives in his game, but I think there's far more positives that we'll be getting into. And the reality is, for a team like Tennessee, I think they could really use like that true number one corner. And you could, try to just get a sure thing and get a guy who you think is going to be pretty good, but they feel like they could be a corner away, and I don't think it's that crazy. Like, Caleb Farley is really good. Again, we'll get into it in a second. And from what I understand about his back surgeries, I am by no means a doctor, but from what I understand, it's 2 back surgeries, but it's kind of from the same injury. He just didn't I'm not the great person to explain this, but basically there were 2 discs in his back that got broken or whatever. That's not how you say that, but he got surgery on one, but didn't get surgery on the other. But then the other one re-aggravated, so he had to get surgery. So it's from the same injury. So it's not like this chronic thing. So I love the pick. Let's get into the film study and talk about why I love the player. So let's start off with some negatives. We'll start off with this play. Honestly, this is a hilarious play. I'm not going to lie. This is a really funny one. What you're going to see is that it's man coverage, and the receiver who he's covering is just running a quick route. This is very simple. Could be a very quick pass to him. Also, just a little bit of, fun fact here. He is going up against 83 for Notre Dame. That's Chase Claypool, because we're using tape from 2019 as he did not play in 2020. But anyways, watch how real quick. So Claypool stops. You see that Farley is starting to run in, and it looks like the quarterback's getting ready to throw it to Claypool. So I understand Claypool thinking that this is going to be a quick pass I understand Farley thinking this is going to be a quick pass to Claypool. All that makes sense. This break-in makes a ton of sense. One of the issues, though, is you can't just go around tackling people before the ball is thrown. Watch how Farley does run in and just tackles Claypool well before this play was thrown. Somehow, that wasn't a penalty, which is just, I don't know how you don't call that a penalty. That seems like a very obvious one. I'm imagining they just ruled that the quarterback was outside of the tackle box, which I just don't think I agree with. But the bigger point about Farley is just that that's kind of an example of sometimes I think he just needs to keep his head up and make better decisions. He is someone who can get fooled. This plays a great example of that. So it's going to be cover 2 zone. That's important to note, is the zone coverage, is that Farley has safety help over the top. So typically it does make sense to break in to some degree. But with Claypool's route, what he's going to do is he's going to fake as though he's running to the flat, but then he's going to end up running deep as he gets further, and that is just going to fool Farley. Watch how right when this play starts, you notice how Farley is making sure he tries to get over in that direction, and kind of the issue with this is that, Farley, what he's so good at is his speed, and he can change directions very well, I would say, but still, if you make some bad decisions, you can get beat on double moves, and that's kind of what can happen with Farley. As you see, that's exactly what is going to happen, and he gets beat pretty deep. I'll show this next angle where, you're going to see how it happens. You could argue that because he knew he had safety help, he was less concerned about getting beat deep, but still, he got beat, and he got beat on a double move, which is something I could see being an issue at the NFL level. And one last negative, this one, it's going to be just a go route. So again, very simple here, nothing too fancy, just a go route, which you'd think that Farley would be great at, right? Again, speed is his best attribute, so he should be able to outrun guys. But right when this play starts, he is going to let up basically no separation. However, the receiver just leaps over him and makes a really tough grab over the top of him. So, yeah, I don't know how much you want to blame him for that one, really, because it was kind of tight coverage. But there is ways to beat a fast guy that maybe doesn't have elite ball skills. However, these to me are all negatives you can live with because of his positives. This play is a great example of a positive. So this is going to be man coverage, and you see the route on the screen that Farley is trying to cover. This is actually a pretty good route to get separation against this type of coverage, just given the fact that, no one's in that area. It's just going to be a tough angle for a throw to be made, typically, because, quarterback over the middle of the field, currently at the hash marks all the way towards the bottom of the screen, throwing all the way to the top of the screen. That's usually just a tough angle. However, right when this play starts, you notice that the Miami quarterback rolls out to the top of the screen. So now he's close to the hash marks in that area. So now the angle is much easier. And for Farley, there now is some separation, because right when the cut happens, Farley kind of was assuming that he would have a little bit more room to work with, just given the angle. There's now some separation. And so again, this is kind of what I'm talking about with, okay, Farley might not have as good of hips and as great of footwork as some of these other guys, but what he makes up for it is his speed and his burst. Very explosive and very quick. And the reason why I always harp on speed and explosiveness when it comes to corners is in the NFL level, you're going to get beat really consistently, actually. It's almost impossible to play corner in the NFL. You're going to give up some separation, and it's more about how you come back from that. And watch how Farley does come back. Not only did he make the play, he got the interception out of that. The interception didn't matter. It was 4th down, and I think he ended up going out of bounds at the 1, so maybe not ideal. But just the whole point of how quickly he can burst and get through and cut him off like that is kind of the impressive thing to me. And one last play. So again, this is something that you really want to see in a corner, because a lot of teams like to play one safety deep, and this is what really the toughest situation is for a corner. If there is one safety deep, is the covering a go route. But Farley is not going to get burned deep like that. Watch, right off the line, the receiver gets a clean release, so that should seemingly be a decent situation, but Farley can just run with anybody, quite frankly. He has incredible speed. He has that sub 4.4 speed, which almost always results in a corner being great. It just almost always does. So at this point, we've seen that like a great throw and a great catch can result in a completion, but then again, I guess you can say that about everybody for the most part. But on this play, what's going to happen is it's not going to be necessarily the perfect throw. It's going to be a bit underthrown, and on those types of situations, you sometimes see that an underthrown ball results in pass interference. The receiver goes back, the defensive back runs into the receiver, they call it pass interference. It's kind of a dumb ruling typically, but that's the situation that could happen. However, Farley, I would say, is very aware. Watch him while getting interfered with himself. He makes a one-handed grab. The receiver was holding one of Farley's arms, and he still makes the catch. That's great awareness and a great ability to make the catch, and it really is set up by his speed. So really, his elite talent is his speed. That makes everything run. If he wasn't as fast, he wouldn't be as good of a corner. But the speed allows him to do so much more. He can cut quickly. He is shifty. He can make these types of moves where he can, make an interception like that. So there's just so much. There's not necessarily so much he does well compared to some other guys, but what he does well translates to the NFL much better than what some of these other guys do, so that's why I had him as my #1 corner. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Caleb Farley? Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.